So the next match that we have on the card is one of those ones where I always have mixed emotions about, because this is the match with Roman Reigns going against Bronson Reed. I was probably the first and only person that suggested that Bronson Reed work together with Seth Rollins. I'm also the person that was left speechless when they let Bronson Reed jump his big ass off the 20-foot steel cage at Survivor Series, which ultimately ended up with Bronson Reed being hurt and having to be away from the company for several months. Just recently, I read a report that said Bronson Reed will never have 100% mobility from that injury at Survivor Series. And not only am I not surprised, but I'm pissed about that news, because this is starting to explain why I felt like Bronson Reed has been buried since he's been back in the WWE. Because if doctors have said he won't ever have 100% mobility, this almost means that Bronson Reed has a 100% chance of never really being a big star in the WWE, because he won't be able to have 100% mobility. That's crazy to hear that. Now hearing that report, I don't think Bronson Reed is going to have a big run in the WWE. I already knew he was buried, and I understand that a lot of people couldn't see that, and they had their own reasons why they felt like that was inaccurate. The WWE doesn't make these things hard to realize and decipher. I said it once, and I'm going to say it one more time. If you're building a true monster in the WWE, not just a wrestler, but you're building a wrestler to be a monster. And when I say monster, I'm thinking about wrestling throughout history. Even now, in present day, you have a guy like Brock Lesnar that you definitely can consider a monster. You're just not going to see any wrestler manhandle Brock Lesnar. Not now and not in the past. Even when Brock Lesnar was a rookie in this business and in the WWE, you did not see wrestlers get the better of Brock Lesnar at the beginning. Brock Lesnar defeated The Rock to win his first WWE championship. So even a WWE legend like The Rock wasn't necessarily able to get the better of a Brock Lesnar. And these were in actual matches, over actual championships, important pay-per-views. We've seen Bronson Reed be thrown all over the ring just for an appearance, just for a small segment. These haven't actually even been matches. That's one thing. And even in matches, you still have to be careful how you're booking your monsters. Bigger wrestlers just shouldn't be manhandled in the ring. And I thought that was wrestling one-on-one. I could go back to a wrestler back in the day like Vader, like Yokozuna. You think people was just picking them up and throwing them all over the ring? Whenever Vader was getting picked up, that was a big deal in itself, because wrestlers weren't able to do that beforehand. This is how I look at a guy like Bronson Reed. To me, the same metrics apply. He should be treated like a Vader, like a Yokozuna, like a Bam Bam Bigelow. This is wrestling we talking about. And it's a long history of having bigger guys that were the monsters at that time. And this is what I thought Bronson Reed was being positioned to do. So when I'm seeing John Cena just give Bronson Reed a AA at the end of a pay-per-view just because, yes, it concerns me. Because this is showing that the WWE doesn't see Bronson Reed as a real monster. Because it doesn't matter if it's John Cena or not. This is even more of the reason why you show the world that this guy is a power player. Because even a guy like John Cena just can't manhandle him. And then we're talking about old man John Cena. We're talking about retirement tour John Cena. This isn't Super Cena from 10 and 15 years ago. So even that part of the psychology concerns me when you're just letting him easily lift Bronson Reed in the air. I don't care about the Hall of Fame career. We're talking about 2025. This is the same John Cena that's telling us that he lost a step. So a guy that's positioned to be an enforcer, a bodyguard, and a monster comes to the ring and gets dismissed and thrown around within 5 seconds? No, this is clearly showing me the WWE has other plans. So now bringing us back to this medical report. This is what I meant when I said it was irresponsible and it was reckless. Because now this injury can potentially cost Bronson Reed his career. The medical report says he won't ever have 100% mobility. How are you going to be a star player in the WWE without 100% mobility? Which is why I'm still stunned that somebody would even sign off on letting this big ass man jump off the cage. He didn't even connect or make contact with any other wrestler. He dived his off this cage and jumped straight through some tables and some chairs. So you gotta forgive me for being a little upset at seeing guys with so much promise and potential being mismanaged and being mishandled in that way. So now that I got that out of the way, maybe this is a second chance for Bronson Reed. Because as far as I'm concerned, we just go set flowers by his grave because he's been buried already. So this is interesting that now he might get a second chance at having this match with Roman Reigns. The only problem is it's a match against Roman Reigns. And unless the WWE has really had a change of heart about Bronson Reed and they're really about to get serious at making Bronson Reed a power player, I just don't see Bronson Reed winning this match against Roman Reigns. And I hope I'm wrong. Because again, I haven't heard anybody else have this type of confidence in Bronson Reed. But in this instance, I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. Because I'm a big Bronson Reed fan. It's just some things that I can't even explain or describe. Some of the competitors that come into WWE, they just have natural talent. And this is the job of the WWE to help accentuate that talent and help it to develop and grow. Bronson Reed just has something that I can't even quite describe. Something is there. When I first listed my reasons why I was a Bronson Reed fan in the past, I mentioned that to me, he's more comfortable on the camera than a Braun Breaker, the guy that the WWE is really sold on. I feel like Braun Breaker is still trying to figure that out, and that's okay. I'm more mad at the WWE for trying to force Braun Breaker on the fans. Bronson Reed naturally has a certain charisma and a certain confidence about him. And it's interesting because this past Monday night, I thought that Bronson Reed showed that. I'm not sure how everybody else feels. Maybe y'all will let me know in the comments. But some of the promo that he had with Roman Reigns, I thought was actually a great promo. I think Bronson Reed actually has a story to tell. Because that's half the battle in trying to develop your character to be a star. You gotta have something to talk about. We don't know much about Bronson Reed. And that's a good thing. Because over time, we can find out things here and there. And on Monday night, he let it be known that he's a Samoan. And Bronson Reed also let us know that he has the real tattoos. And he comes from a Samoan tradition that Roman Reigns' family didn't want any part of. So even in that little bit of storytelling, I was highly impressed and intrigued by that. I'm starting to see little glimpses of things that I thought was there from the beginning. And just a little part of that promo with Bronson Reed telling Roman Reigns that you don't even do this Samoan for real. I'm really cut from an official Samoan bloodline. And I love that setup because that gives us a new dynamic independent of the Seth Rollins feud. Because now this match feels more personal than just a feud with Seth Rollins in the Vision. So I'm a little surprised by how much credit I've been having to give the WWE lately. I gotta give the devil his due. Certain things that's been happening since SummerSlam has been nothing but a positive sign for the WWE moving forward. And maybe this match for Bronson Reed could be the redemption that he really needs. Because as far as I'm concerned, Bronson Reed already has a tombstone. And it ain't got nothing to do with The Undertaker. But this is how he can start to dig himself out of that grave. Just like one of my favorite movies, Kill Bill. And I'm very interested to see exactly how this match is going to turn out.